I actually tried other builders, looked at them, and nothing compares to Fulton quality. We're repeat builders with Fulton. It's been an amazing process, and we would never go anywhere else after experiencing it. The process working with the Fulton team was great. They cared. We got updates, and you could just tell how much they were excited, almost as much as we are. Fulton is so good at the homes they build. The quality you get is just really unmatched. They continue to care about us as a client, even though we've now finished the sale. I admired their communities because they were always a step above. The amount of landscaping, the way it was always groomed. They add the features that you want to be outside, you want to be in the community. And that matters to us. We want to be outside, not just in the home, and all the amenities are just amazing. We would buy Fulton Homes again in a heartbeat. I don't think we'd consider anybody else.
Fulton Homes. You're proud to own, we're proud to build.
DQ presents... Picture this. Picture your favorite DQ treat. Is it a blizzard treat? Maybe a cone? Are you feeling a shake? Could be a dilly bar kind of day. Or a peanut buster parfait. I'll wait for you to pick. Okay, now picture your favorite treat right where it belongs. In your hand. Or your car cup holder. Your bike basket. Or your special treat fanny pack. Wherever it is, stop picturing it and get your real hands on a real DQ treat today. Only at DQ. Happy tastes good.
A new diamond era begins. Desert Diamond Casino White Tanks is now open. There's even more of your favorite slots and tables, a sports book, an atmosphere sparkling with excitement, and top names like the legendary Morton's Steakhouse and signature Starbucks coffee. Best of all, this stunning new destination is right at Loop 303 and Northern Parkway. So come and live the diamond life. Desert Diamond Casino.
An enterprise of the Donna Automation.
The Offspring. Supercharged worldwide in 25. One unforgettable summer night. The Offspring. Live in Phoenix. With special guests Jimmy Eat World and Newfound Glory. Playing Talking Stick Resort Amphitheater August 27th. Get tickets now at livenation.com. 3 great bands, 1 incredible show. Part of the America First Credit Union Concert Series.
If you know, you go. At Superstar Car Wash, we're proud to have over 550,000 members. Be in the know and try what everyone loves today. Text LOVEAZ to 27800 to get 50% off our best wash. Terms and conditions apply.
AM 1060 KDUS Tempe, Phoenix, and KSLX HD2 Scottsdale, Phoenix. It's the lunch break.
For the 3rd straight off season, the Phoenix Suns will be looking for a brand new basketball coach. Welcome into this Monday edition of the lunch break here on KDUS AM 1060. Streaming on the KDUS AM 1060 app, and you can watch the show over on the KDUS AM 1060 YouTube live stream, the YouTube channel. Producer Evan is here. He is ready to go. I am ready to go. Hopefully you're ready to go for the next 2 hours here on the program, because guess what?
For our top story of the day, it's the Daily Special.
We were wondering if they were going to make this move. We were wondering when they were going to make this move. But the Phoenix Suns decided earlier today to relieve Mike Budenholzer of his duties as the head coach of your Phoenix Suns. In a statement that was sent out at 9:17 this morning, the Suns said the following, quote, "Competing at the highest level remains our goal, and we failed to meet expectations this season. Our fans deserve better. Change is needed," end quote. That was it. Short, sweet, and to the point. There was no thanking Coach Bud for his time. There was no saying we appreciate his efforts. It was, we want to compete at the highest level. We have failed in that goal. We are about to get to work. That's what I took away from that statement today from the Phoenix Suns. They do not want to give you all sorts of reasonings and explanations, because guess what? You don't need any reasonings and explanations today. You don't need a justification for making this move. You don't need a big, long letter from the owner telling you that they're going to do better. Words don't matter at this point, at least not for me. And I know, now we've got some regulars here on the show. We've got some regulars who hang out with us on the YouTube live stream. And I think of somebody like John today, who's one of our regulars over on the video version of the show. And he talks about he's a season ticket holder, just renewed his season tickets for next season. I think of him on a day like today because he doesn't want to see a big, long letter from the owner saying that they're going to do better. He just wants to see the team play better. He wants to see the team be better. He wants that investment of his time, his money into renewing his season tickets to be a bet that pays off. And so I'm good with that statement. I'm good with keeping it short, sweet, to the point, not taking any questions, not taking any responses from anybody right now. It's time to get to work. The Suns wasted zero time. Their season ended yesterday, and they made the move today to fire Mike Budenholzer, and they will now have their third straight offseason coaching search. Now, you may want to spin this positively today and say, hey, this is a team that was not afraid to admit failure. How much did we talk about on this program? Would they be scared of the idea of 4 coaches in 4 years? Would that be the thing that stopped them from making this move? Would they be scared of the optics? Would they be scared of the perception that everybody would have of them around the NBA? Because when you get painted with a label like that, sometimes it can be hard to operate. It can be hard to find qualified head coaches. It might be difficult to find somebody that checks all of your boxes for what you want the next head coach to be, who you need them to be, what they need to do to turn this around. You might have been scared by that idea. The idea of, if we do this, are we going to be the laughingstock of the NBA? Are we really going to be able to have a robust coaching search? Are we going to get the guys in the building to interview with us that we want to interview? Or are we going to fire a coach, go 4 coaches in 4 years, and constantly get rejected, constantly have agents tell us, we're not really interested in interviewing? Because that would take the embarrassment of this season and turn it up to another level. Because not only did you get embarrassed, not only are you not participating in the playoffs starting tomorrow night with the play-in tournament, but now in an attempt to fix things, you get told again by everybody involved, you're an embarrassment and we're not sure we want to deal with you right now. So good on the Phoenix Suns for seeing through all of that and still deciding today on what was the right thing. This was the right thing to do today. It's not a joyous day when somebody loses their job. It's not a good signal for your organization that you fired another head coach. It's not a good message to send that for 4 straight years we're going to have a new head coach. That's bad. That tells you a lot about where you are at as an organization, but you still need to make the right decision. And today, the Phoenix Suns made what I hope is the first of many right decisions this offseason.
Exactly. I think that you don't celebrate a firing of a coach because it means failure. It means disappointment, and it means everything under the sun. But what it does show.
Did you mean to do that? Did you mean to say under the sun? Was that
that was
not
completely
by
unintentional?
Okay, all right.
But it does signal the first step in the right direction, and it signals that this team knows there's a problem. And the other thing that I don't want to say is exciting or good to see, but this was an immediate reaction from the Suns day after the season ends. Last year, I think they had 2 weeks before they fired Frank Vogel.
Yeah, it was. I think it actually got up to the 3-week mark, 2.5, 3 weeks before they made the decision on Frank Vogel. So at least comparing it to their decision last year, they did not leave any more room for doubt. But I was reading a story this morning from Dwayne Rankin over at the Arizona Republic on azcentral.com, and he said that a source told him, or told the Arizona Republic, that the first rumblings of a potential move were back at the end of February after the Suns fell to the New Orleans Pelicans. And so you wonder why, if you felt that way after that loss, and I remember that loss. This was around the time that they had just lost to Portland for 2 straight. They had that rough stretch going into the All-Star break. They came out of the All-Star break. They lost to San Antonio right out of the break, and it was a home game against New Orleans, if I remember correctly, that they lost. If you were considering making a change at that point, they were 27-32 after that game. If you were already considering the idea that this wasn't working with Coach Bud, I got a lot of questions about why you let it continue the rest of the way. Because perhaps that was enough time to spark something. We made fun of Denver and Memphis for firing the coaches when they did, trying to find a spark with less than 10 games to go. But at that point, 27-32, and we do some quick math, that's 59 games. It's over 20 games left on the calendar. You might have been able to spark something if you felt in your gut that you needed to go in a different direction. So that worries me a little bit, learning that piece of information, that they had kind of started considering this at the end of February. If that was the case, you should have made the move then, because this didn't sneak up on any of us. We've been watching this train lead to this stop all season long. We've talked all year long about the rotation. We talked all year long about who's the starting point guard and Ryan Dunn's usage and how he handled the use of Nurkic benching, how he handled dealing with Devin Booker. This didn't just sneak up on us today that after a disappointing season that the Phoenix Suns have decided to move in a different direction with their head coach. We have watched this in real time every single day. The train move down the tracks towards this exact stop. So if in February you considered this, I am surprised that you allowed it to get through the end of the season. Maybe they thought that was a bridge too far. Maybe they thought if we fire another head coach and we do it in season and not give a guy the full year, that's a bridge too far for us. That's a line we won't cross. That will make us look really foolish. But I don't know, man. The writing was on the wall after that game on February 27th. The writing was on the wall before the trade deadline of how this team was struggling and how the coaching was playing a hand in all of this. But the Suns made the right move today. And in a season where they have not made a lot of the right moves, today they made the right one.
As you read more into it too, it's clear that not only was it a decision on, roster and who plays, but a culture problem. And that article that you talked about on the Arizona Republic outlines what was a pretty massive culture problem within the locker room.
Story on The Athletic.
Sorry.
We're doing a lot of reading this morning.
Yes.
I can understand.
Story on The Athletic.
Yes, there was a story on The Athletic this morning that talked about kind of what went on here behind the scenes and outlined exactly what we just talked about. Yusuf Nurkic, not speaking to him and benching him. The thing we talked about on the air when he called Devin Booker into a meeting and said, hey, dude, tone it down. The culture building that was non-existent at the beginning of Coach Bud's tenure, talking about how talk is cheap and it's about actions. I mean, this story goes into great depth into just laying out a roadmap, and it's not going to surprise anybody. It is a roadmap that we all saw. We saw what happened to Yusuf Nurkic. We saw the disagreement on the sidelines with Kevin Durant. And I said at the time, and I still believe in this, that that's not that big of a deal. That's a player and a coach in the heat of the moment of a game having a disagreement. But as part of a bigger picture, there was some friction. There was some disagreement in between the coaching staff and the players. And it just reached a point where if the Phoenix Suns wanted to move forward, if they wanted to get this back on the rails, this was a move that had to be done today. Had to. No questions asked. They had to make this move, and they had to do it this quickly.
100%. I think it's kind of enough said when you read the Athletic article and some of the articles and some of the reports that have been out there. What was the way Devin Booker described it as? A slow bleed out?
Yes.
I mean, that's as bad of a quote as you can get as far as describing the end of a season and the imminent nature that was a coach firing at the end of the season.
Yeah, those comments from Devin Booker, I think, summed up what all of us went through throughout the season. And so we now can buckle up, everybody. We are going to watch another coaching search play out. And hopefully this one is conducted a little differently. Hopefully this one casts a wide net. And we are going to talk about this move from all the different angles today. So don't worry. We are going to talk about what the Suns are going to look for, what we think they're going to look for in their next head coach a little bit later on here on the program. We are going to peel this onion back because there are layers to this move today. But the Suns, their season ending yesterday. We got the play-in tournament starting tomorrow. Suns wasted little time this morning making a move that I think we all thought needed to be made if this team was going to turn things around and get this back on track. But I don't know if we were sure it was going to be made. But again, when you laid out all of the reasons to move on from Coach Bud, and you laid out the one reason to keep him, the list of reasons to move on was just too much to overlook. You did not have enough reasons to keep him in that building, especially if his relationship with Devin Booker was fractured when that's the guy you're building this thing around next season. That is an untenable situation. That situation leads to Devin Booker asking out. That is how you break up the relationship between the Phoenix Suns and Devin Booker. So the Suns made what is going to be the first of many moves this offseason. Now for the third straight offseason, they will have a head coaching search. We're going to talk about this from all the different layers here on the program, but we also would love to hear from you. 480-864-1060 is the phone number for you to hop in on a day like today, or we've got you over on the KDUS AM 1060 YouTube live stream. When we come back, Coach Bud is now gone. Can this be enough of a change? That's next. The lunch break. KDUS AM 1060.
The Varsity Sports Show live with Vince D'Alicio every Saturday morning from 9 to 11 a.m. Features all the local youth, high school, college sports, and more, both around the Valley and beyond. Enjoy go-to segments with coaches and players from around the Valley. Tune in to the Varsity Sports Show with Vince and guests Saturday morning from 9 to 11 a.m. right here on KDUS AM 1060. Online at KDUS1060.com and the KDUS 1060 app. Tired of overpriced repairs at the dealership? At Arrowhead Imports, we do things differently. We're a family-owned business specializing in German cars with a focus on integrity and transparency. No pressure, no gimmicks, just high-quality service at a great price. If you love your German car but dread going to the dealer, we're here for you. Visit Arrowhead Imports or call 602-464-6556 today. Your car and your wallet will thank you later. Arrowhead Imports. Family-owned, family-trusted.
Are you tired of seeing rust stains in your sinks? Call Culligan. Or scrubbing hard water scale buildup from your fixtures. Call Culligan. We can customize whole home solutions to address common water worries found in Phoenix. And now, for a limited time, you can get better water at every tap in your home for $0 down, no payments, and no interest for 6 months. Problem water is no problem for Culligan. Contact your local water expert today. Contaminants may not be in your water. Dealer participation may vary. See dealer for details.
Get your to-do list ready. The Home Depot just opened a new store in Surprise. So whether you're making simple upgrades or full-on renovations, the Home Depot has you covered with great prices on tools, materials, rentals, and more. Plus, order online or with the Home Depot app and get it all delivered to your door fast and free. Visit us at 16601 Cactus Road in Surprise and start your next project today with the Home Depot.
Connect directly, bid confidently. At Purple Wave Auction, transparency is key. With no reserves and no hidden surprises, you're connected directly to sellers so you can inspect and bid on quality equipment with confidence. Whether you're looking for ag, construction, or fleet equipment, we're here to ensure a clear, hassle-free experience. Register today at purplewave.com and start bidding with peace of mind. Purple Wave Auction, the easiest and most straightforward way to buy and sell equipment.
Jim Rome here with your Rome Report. Another day, another John Morant update. Update being, still doesn't get it. G.I. Jaw still does not get it. No sooner than the league dinged him 75 gur for his imaginary gun celebration on the floor, my man moved on to the oh-so-hilarious hand grenade celly. Or it would be hilarious if it were anybody but him. But that's the point. It is him, and he clearly doesn't care and has made it pretty clear he'd rather get over on the commissioner than he would the opposition because the Grizz just got slapped again last night. I'm not saying they keep losing because of his silly sellies. I'm saying if Ja put half as much energy into beating the opposition as he does the commissioner, they might be looking at the 1 seed. I'm not going to say this dude is dumb, but I will say there is nothing smart about this. Wake up, G.I. Jaw. I'm Jim Rome.
This is the story of the one who, as a maintenance specialist for a historic high-rise, knows that vintage charm historically needs constant attention. Which is why when it's time to upgrade turn-of-the-century mechanicals, they turn to Grainger. With easy access to 1 million-plus products and the scale to deliver when and where you need them. The right tools and supplies are never far away. So the one can keep that vintage building running like new. Call, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
Every day when we're on the road, people around us endanger themselves and others by looking at their phones while driving. There's the sneak-a-peeker who darts their eyes between the road and their texts, or the nightlighter who illuminates their car after dark. If that's you, reconsider before you find yourself becoming the fender bender-er, the got a ticket-er, or worst of all, the driver who killed someone. Put the phone away or pay. Paid for by NHTSA.
Ready to tackle each morning with the best sports information coming at you?
I'm going to take a logical approach.
Get that weekday mornings on KTUS AM 1060 from 6 to 9 a.m. with the Dan Patrick Show. Dan Patrick, the Danettes, sports icons, sports legends, celebrities, poll questions. The Dan Patrick Show has it all.
It's a crapshoot.
Be sure to lock your dials to AM 1060 or 100.7 HD2 from 6 to 9 a.m. Mornings just got better.
This story is about us.
The Suns making a move today, moving on from Mike Budenholzer after just 1 season as the head coach of the Phoenix Suns. Will now embark on their 3rd consecutive coaching search that will end up with their 4th coach in 4 seasons. And one of the layers of this onion from this story, at least for me, probably the top one, is will this be the only major change in the infrastructure of the Phoenix Suns? We are going to have some of those tough conversations. Exactly, past me. We are going to have some of those tough conversations. I'm glad we're doing those today. Kind of surprised me a little bit, is my voice to me felt weird. I was like, I didn't say that, but I did say that. It was a past me saying tough conversations.
Yeah, that was you last week.
Me last week saying we're going to have some tough conversations. My guess, probably about the Phoenix Suns. I don't know the context of that drop.
I actually can't remember, but I believe probably the Suns.
I don't care the context. It applies here. Tough conversations have to be had. I think we all understand.
Actually, memory, it was about Jake McCarthy.
Okay, so completely unrelated, but still applies. We all know that there's going to be players that change this offseason. We know that Kevin Durant is going to get traded. I don't consider that a tough conversation. I don't consider that we are going to have some of those tough conversations. I don't consider that a tough conversation. I consider that more of, you got to do something. That's what I consider that more of, okay? We just got to do something. But the tough conversation that this team, I still think, has to have is, what are they going to do with the front office? What does the front office look like going into next season? James Jones's contract is up at the end of June. I don't think we can live in a world where we just let that contract expire and then make a change, because are you going to wait until June to hire a head coach? That doesn't feel like good process. And I sit here today to tell you that while I agree with the decision that was made by the Phoenix Suns, they made the right decision today. It cannot stop there. This team is broken from a culture perspective. It is broken from a roster construction perspective. It has been broken since they made the trip to the finals and lost in 6 games to the Milwaukee Bucks. Who is the chief principal of the culture, the chief principal of the roster construction? Well, that would be the president of basketball operations. I cannot say with a straight face to all of you that the Phoenix Suns moved this franchise in the right direction. if they make zero changes to their front office. Because while I think coaching did them in this year, if you zoom out, this is where it gets really hard to be an owner in sports. This is where it becomes really difficult to evaluate a situation. Because I think this year's flaws, this year's faults are different than last season's flaws and faults. And so to be able to put all of these puzzle pieces together is a difficult task. This year, coaching did them in. But big picture, since the trip to the NBA Finals, what has done this team in? The front office, the roster building, the identification of talent that haven't worked. The bench last year was a problem. Tyus Jones, they missed on that. Tyus Jones was a miss. They swung and missed there. Bradley Beal, trading for him. That was a swing and a miss. I was originally going to today talk on the program about what the future for Bradley Beal looks like. We'll save that for later on in the week. Moving on for Mike Budenholzer cannot be where the changes from an infrastructure perspective stop. So you can make the right move today. You can take one step forward today towards the path of retooling this team, this organization, and putting them on a path to being in the right direction. But guess what? You know the saying, 1 step forward, 2 steps back. You took 1 step forward today. You make no changes to the front office. My mind, that's 2 steps backwards.
If it's just Bud, in all honesty, who cares?
Man, we are breaking out the soundboard today in a big way. I love this. I love we're debuting the soundboard in this way, but we've got everything.
And nothing changes. In all honesty, nothing changes because, yes, in 2025, coaching was the issue, but it's not just a 2025 problem. And if this was James Jones' first year, okay, he didn't press all the wrong buttons, but we're talking about a 4 to 5 year span in which he hasn't hit on a single move where you're like, home run, there it is, got one, not one. And every move he has made, you just go down the line and go swing and a miss, swing and a miss. That looks good for a second, but then swing and a miss. There isn't been one move that has been redeeming over the last 3 years.
I'll play the other side of this argument for just a second. I think the Ryan Dunn pick was a good one, right?
Okay.
I think that
I'll give you Ryan Dunn.
But that is not enough to counterbalance the stuff on the other side of the ledger. The bench last year was awful, terrible, was poorly put together, did not help Beal, Booker, and Durant at all last season. Okay? That was a mistake. Trading DeAndre Ayton and getting back the return that you got was a mistake. Tyus Jones, that was a mistake. That did not work out. And if you want to say that's on coaching, the front office has to know what the coach is looking for and try to put those pieces together. You have to work in harmony from a coach to the front office up to ownership. You all try to row the boat in the same direction. So it all kind of goes hand in hand. And so for me, I want to end this offseason feeling confident in the direction that this team is going in. I don't need to end this offseason saying that the Suns are going to win 45 games. The Suns are going to win 50 games. It is not a number for me. I don't think it's a number for any of you out there listening to this program. I don't think you want this team to win a certain number of games next season to feel like things have turned around. You want to have confidence. That is the word of the day. You want to have confidence in the coach. You want to have confidence in the front office. You want to have confidence in the owner. You want to have confidence that they have learned from these mistakes. We are going to call what's gone on the last couple of years a mistake, right? We're going to call trading for Bradley Beal a mistake, right? We're going to call hiring Coach Bud a mistake, right? By doing what you did today, you've admitted that that was a mistake. It's one thing to admit a mistake. It is another thing to learn from it. And so today, the Suns admitted a mistake. For the second straight year, they have fired a head coach. They will have 4 coaches in 4 years. What will tell me if they've learned from this mistake is who they get to replace Coach Bud, who they get to fill that vacancy, and what characteristics they look for. The last 2 years, it was all in service of winning a championship. This year, It's going to be different. That's how we'll know if they've learned or not. But another way we'll know if they've learned or not is, does this go beyond just a coaching change? Because I want to be on record today with this. I want this to be something that we can look back on and play the audio of, so that if we get upset in the summer, we have proof that we said this at the time. This cannot be enough today. It cannot stop here. And I don't like being the guy that comes on radio and says people need to lose their jobs. That's not fun. That's not a good place to be as a radio host. But it is my job to give you my opinion. It is my job to tell you how I feel and to be a voice for you. And I see it. I see it in the YouTube comments. I see it in the comments that on some of our social media posts. Most of your frustration is with the front office and the way this team is put together. And I agree with that opinion. This cannot just be a coaching change. You've tried that before. It didn't work. You need a complete overhaul. If you want to have a new culture in here, bring in a new voice. Bring in somebody with a fresh perspective. Bring somebody who will say, hey, where I was, we did it this way. Or we did it that way. That's the only way this changes. Give me a reason to be confident in the direction that you are going in. You have taken a small step in that direction today. Don't take 2 steps backwards. Keep moving forward. More on the Suns throughout the rest of the program. Your thoughts always welcome. 480-864-1060 and always on the KDUS AM 1060 YouTube live stream. On the other side of the break, they maybe took a little bit of a brief hiatus, but over the weekend, the answer backs are back. That's next. The lunch break, KDUS AM 1060.
The Varsity Sports Show live with Vince D'Alessio every Saturday morning from 9 to 11 a.m. Features all the local youth, high school, college sports, and more, both around the Valley and beyond. Enjoy go-to segments with coaches and players from around the Valley. Tune in to the Varsity Sports Show with Vince and guests Saturday morning from 9 to 11 a.m. right here on KTUS AM 1060. Online at KTUS1060.com and the KTUS 1060 app.
Hey, it's Pat. The other day at work, they brought in pizza for lunch. So I swooped in and I grabbed 3 slices. The coworker next to me said, geez, Pat, you can't have it all. Then I corrected him and said, yeah, I can. And you can too. With a new 2025 Toyota truck. Power and performance, capability and reliability. Well, I must have convinced him because he grabbed the plate out of my hand and he said, good point, Pat.
Right now, get 1.99% financing for 72 months on a new 2025 Tundra SR or SR5. Or get competitive financing or a great lease deal on a new Camry, RAV4, or Tacoma. Plus, check out the all-new 6th generation 4Runner, arriving daily at your Valley Toyota dealers. Shop anytime at valleytoyotadealers.com. Toyota, let's go places. 1.99% with $14.75 per thousand borrowed for 72 months. 0 down payment if you qualify. Offers end 4/30/25. See dealer for details.
We're chatting with our guest, always safety first, 811 Megaphone Man.
Call 811 before you dig.
You never stray from your mission of letting homeowners, landscapers, and excavators know you should always call 811 before you dig.
Call 811.
Call for both small and big jobs. And 2 working days in advance?
811.
Any parting words? And I'm guessing they will be.
Call 811 before you dig.
Brought to you by Southwest Gas.
811.
Shinedown. Dance Kid Dance Tour. Live in Phoenix. Footprint Center, Saturday, August 2nd. With special guests, Bush and Morgan Wade. Get tickets now at LiveNation.com. It's about to get heavy. Shinedown, live in concert. For more, visit Shinedown.com.
At Nationwide Vision, we know that every precious moment in life becomes brighter when your vision is in focus, which is why we combine expert care with the latest technology to bring those details into view with treatment that puts you first. And eyewear that gives you the confidence to look and feel your best. We help you see the little things clearly and live them fully. Schedule your appointment today and find your focus at Nationwide Vision.
When we say jumbo, we mean jumbo shrimp. Del Taco's Jumbo Shrimp Tacos are packing serious flavor. Crispy jumbo shrimp wrapped in a warm flour tortilla with crunchy cabbage, zesty pico de gallo, and our savory secret sauce. Get 2 jumbo shrimp tacos stuffed with big shrimp energy for just $6. That's right, get 2 jumbo shrimp tacos for just $6, only at Del Taco. But hurry, this offer's here for a limited time. Price and participation may vary.
Ready to tackle each morning with the best sports information coming at you?
I'm going to take a logical approach.
Get that weekday mornings on KTUS AM 1060 from 6 to 9 a.m. with the Dan Patrick Show. Dan Patrick, the Danettes, sports icons, sports legends, celebrities, poll questions. The Dan Patrick Show has it all.
It's a crapshoot.
Be sure to lock your dials to AM 1060 or 100.7 HD2 from 6 to 9 a.m. Mornings just got better.
This story is about us.
Diamondbacks took 2 out of 3 over the weekend against Brewers, so you can listen for your chance to win 4 tickets to Diamondbacks Braves on Saturday, April 26th at Chase Field. Get to the April 26th game early to get a Diamondbacks replica jersey courtesy of Casino Arizona and Talking Stick Resort. The first 25,000 fans at the game will get one. You can get your tickets at dbacks.com/SGT. If you've noticed, we are, 2-3 segments into the show, and we've got something new that we're debuting on the program. We've been working hard behind the scenes because I believe in not taking yourself too seriously when you do this job. You have to poke fun at yourself. You have to be willing to just laugh at some of the stupidity. And when you talk on the air for 2 hours every day, 10 hours a week, you are going to say some stupid stuff. You just are, okay? You're going to say some things that just become memorable moments. So what we are going to try to do here on the program is we have our drops board. And this just stupid stuff that we've said. Now, because again, where else can you get comedy gold like this? He took a potty break in a weird spot. Like, where else can you get comedy gold like that? So if you hear me talking, even though I'm talking, just know that's what that is. So producer Evan is filing things away that I say. We've got things that producer Evan says as well. So just something new, something fun that we're going to do here on the program. So just letting everybody know ahead of time that if you hear me talking over me talking, no, there's nothing wrong. You don't have to adjust your radio. It is just producer Evan having a little comedy fun back there. So just warning everybody now.
It's really had quite the dynamic to the show.
You threw me
already.
off in the first segment.
Yeah.
You played, and we talked about this because we set this up on Friday, and then we did a little more of it today. You said that you were going to start doing it today on the show, and even that I knew that, it still threw me off when I heard myself in my ears. But nonetheless, let's talk about the Diamondbacks, the answerbacks who showed up over the weekend, and they took 2 out of 3 from Milwaukee over the weekend. I think we'll do this in order. I want to start talking. I want to start the conversation by talking about what happened on Saturday, the comeback with 5 runs in the 9th inning, because while everybody probably wants to talk about Corbin Carroll and how great he's been, and he had a huge double in that game, almost got out there in the bottom of the 9th. What I want to talk about is how all of that happens, because Corbin Carroll doesn't get that opportunity in the bottom of the 9th to make the game 4-3. If not for 7, 8, and 9 in the order. Suarez leads off the bottom of the 9th and grounds out. Diamondbacks are down 4-0 with 2 outs. They have 7, 8, and 9 up. Now, 9 only comes up if 7 or 8 get on base. But you get Gabby Moreno drawing a walk, Alec Thomas triples, Garrett Hampson draws a walk. 3 straight batters reach base, 7, 8, and 9 in the order, and it turns it over for Corbin Carroll to hit a double that just barely missed getting out to make it 4-3. And then Perdomo with probably the at-bat of the game, an 8-pitch walk to keep things going. And then Jake McCarthy, who cares that he started 0 for 22? Who cares that he doesn't have a bunch of hits on the season? He had a hit in that spot for his team on Saturday to tie the game. And then Lourdes Gurriel walks it off with the sac fly. But it is the bottom of the order that set it up for Carroll, that set it up for Perdomo, that set it up for McCarthy to have that moment. We don't get Corbin Carroll's double if not for the job that Moreno, Thomas, and Hampson did. That's a tough spot. Down 4 runs. You just need to keep the line moving, and you did. And that was an excellent job, but none of that happens if not for the bottom of the order. And so I wanted to make sure we shouted that out, because for an offense that we wonder where it's going to come from without Ketel Marte, you're seeing it from Corbin Carroll, you're seeing it from Josh Naylor, Pavin Smith's been really good, but in that game on Saturday, where you got the production that mattered, was in the bottom part of your lineup that set the table. And guess what? In that spot, with that pressure, those guys set the table. Corbin Carroll, with the way he's hitting, wasn't going to miss that spot. Gurriel wasn't going to miss that opportunity in that spot to try to win the baseball game. So credit to the bottom part of the order, because they are the guys that drove the bus in that game on Saturday.
And from an approach standpoint in the 9th inning, incredible. One, like you said, pass the baton to the next guy. We talked about the Perdomo at bat, which for them is an 8-pitch walk in which he fouled off 3 pitches. Even getting into the Carroll at bat.
Well, how about the Hampson walk right before it? Because Milwaukee makes a pitching change. Okay, Alec Thomas hits the triple. It's 4-1. We hate that we're doing this, but we're going to our closer, right? Yeah. And our closer comes in, and Garrett Hampson, our 9-hitter, just stares at 4 straight balls. Why? You got to show me that you can throw a strike. Your command's all over the place. You're coming into this game. You probably weren't expecting to come into this game when it was 4-0. So you probably got up in a hurry. You got up kind of quick. I'm going to make you show me something. Hampson, the first 4 pitches to Hampson, all balls, he walks. And then Corbin Carroll, this is when you know that he's locked in. This is when you know that things are clicking for him. He just watched the closer for the Brewers come into the game and throw 4 straight pitches. My mindset is not to try to leave the yard. My mindset is, you got to show me one. You've got to show me one, and then now we have an at-bat. First pitch, outside. Okay, you still got to show me one. The next pitch, 98 right down the middle. All right, now you've shown me that you can get the fastball over for a strike. Now I've gotten it back. Now I'm going to be ready. And what does he do? He doubles up. He goes right back to it. And Corbin Carroll was sitting on it, ready for it, drove it. Just some high-quality ABs from the Diamondbacks in that 9th inning on Saturday.
That's what I was talking about from an approach standpoint. I mean, Corbin Carroll, knowing that he can only get the heater over after he got it over after 5 straight balls to the 9-hitter. 4 to the 9-hitter, 1 to Corbin Carroll, then see a strike, and that's a heater and a pitch to hit. And then you get another one and you rope it out for a double. Like I said, just an incredible approach in the 9th inning. I just can't understand, how did this come only in the 9th inning? And then the day after on Sunday, which we'll get into too. They're the answer backs, but it seems a little delayed this year.
It is some delayed answer backs for sure. That one was in the 9th inning. And then in Sunday's game yesterday, 1 in the 5th, 1 in the 6th, 1 in the 7th, 2 in the 8th, after spotting them 2 runs early. By the way, Corbin Burns looked much better in his start over the weekend. Zach Gallen, after giving up some runs early on Sunday yesterday, he was able to recover. But the thing I want to talk about from the game yesterday is the way Torey Lovello managed the bullpen, because he treated that like it was a playoff game yesterday. Because I know that on the stat sheet, it says that A.J. Puck got the save because he got the final 3 outs in the 9th inning, and that's how we classify saves. But he used his closer in the 8th inning of that game yesterday after they took the lead 3-2. Because you take the lead after scoring 1 in the 5th, scoring 1 in the 6th, it's 2-2. You get 1 in the 7th, and he went immediately to Justin Martinez. Why? This is the key spot. We are facing in that inning, believe it was 4, 5, and 6 for the Brewers. It was Contreras, Frelick, and Hoskins. And he needed to get those 3 outs. Those were the 3 most important outs of the game. And the guy that gave him the better matchup in that spot against those 3 guys is he wanted right on right. He wanted Martinez versus Contreras to start that inning. He got the out. He then faced the lefty Frelick, no problem. And then he forced Pat Murphy into a decision. He forced him. Do you want to send a Rhys Hoskins, or do you want to burn Jake Bauers here? That's exactly what he did. A 1-2-3 inning. Has not allowed an earned run in 5 2/3 innings pitched so far this season for Justin Martinez. But truth be told, Torey Lovello managed that like it was a playoff game because of the way he used Justin Martinez. And then you score 2 insurance runs, and it frees up A.J. Puck there in the top of the 9th.
You just said it, but I want to touch on it again. We talked about it in the morning meeting. Going to Martinez there is your save,
yes,
right? Because it's a 1-run game. Like you said, you force them to not let Hoskins hit with the righty matchup. and you come back out knowing you've had good at-bats against their bullpen yesterday, and allow yourself to get insurance runs. And then with a 3-run lead, you feel way more comfortable with AJ Puck. But that all happens because you needed a shutdown inning in the 8th. It's not just, oh, we only have a 1-run lead. It's, hey, we just got the lead. We cannot give this up. You cannot take the momentum, 1 out of that building, but 2 out of that dugout, most importantly.
We talk about this team and their name being the answer backs, right? A moniker that they've taken on over the last couple of seasons, but it's so true. After you take the lead like that, the most important inning is that next half inning. Okay, we took the lead. Now we've got to keep the momentum. Now we have to keep this game exactly where it is. It does you no good if you constantly answer, but then the bullpen can't get the 3 outs to keep the momentum on your side. But that's exactly what the Diamondbacks were able to do yesterday in that game. I thought, like I said, Corbin Burnes pitched well. Obviously not his best, but 6 innings, 3 runs, quality start. And if we look at the 3 starts that he's had this season, clearly his best work. He would be the first to tell you that he can do better than that, but very much his best start in a Diamondbacks uniform, and it ended up with a Diamondbacks victory. They take 2 out of 3 from the Brewers. They get to 9-7 on the season. So a weekend of chaos, a weekend of the answer backs, a weekend of late inning drama, and a weekend of the manager showing you that if it comes the postseason, how he's going to manage his bullpen. At least that's my takeaway. Maybe I've got a bad read on it, but that's just the way I saw it play out there in the 8th inning of that game yesterday. When we come back, the Suns now need to hire a new head coach. What's that going to look like? What do they need to find in their next head coach? That's next on the lunch break. KDUS AM 1060.
The Varsity Sports Show live with Vince D'Alessio every Saturday morning from 9 to 11 a.m. Features all the local youth, high school, college sports, and more, both around the Valley and beyond. Enjoy go-to segments with coaches and players from around the Valley. Tune in to the Varsity Sports Show with Vince and guests Saturday morning from 9 to 11 a.m. right here on KTUS AM 1060. Online at KTUS1060.com and the KTUS 1060 app.
Hi, Luis Gonzalez here. Want to bet? Feel the thrill of Casino Arizona with 1,400 of the hottest slots and nonstop table game action. We make winners, no experience necessary. Join us for the best bingo in the Valley with daily sessions. Indulge in all-you-can-eat Eagles Buffet or enjoy fine dining experience at the award-winning Choyo Steakhouse. Enjoy top-notch local entertainment, tribute bands, and viewing parties at CAZ Sports Bar, just off the 101 in McKellips. Casino Arizona, uniquely Arizona.
Phoenix, are you ready to ascend? Bring me the horizon. USA Ascension Program Part 1. Every sky will build my friend. Taking over Footprint Center, October 2nd, with special guest Crawling from Hell, Motionless in White, The Plot in You, and Amira El Fiki. On sale now at livenation.com. Bring me the horizon. Presented by the Big Red Radio.
Hello, everybody. Eric Bryan, the owner of Precision Air and Plumbing, Arizona's #1 ranked AC company for over a decade. Manufacturers have raised new AC unit prices by up to 20%. But at Precision, we're selling new AC units at last year's prices and giving you 35% off. You won't get a better deal, so don't wait. If you're in the market for a new AC unit, make the Precision decision today and call us at 602-FIX-MY-AC.
Decision with Precision Air. At A1 Garage Door Service, we wouldn't be here without you. Hi, I'm Tommy Mello. During Customer Appreciation Month, we're giving back with special offers that you do not want to miss. Whether you're a loyal customer or trying us out for the first time, if you've never experienced A1, now's the perfect time to see why so many families trust A1. To all of our past, present, and future customers, thank you. A1Garage.com, A1 from day one.
An early start to the weekend series for ASU baseball on KDUS AM 1060. Join the Sun Devils this Thursday evening as they return home to play host against Texas Tech. Coach Willie Bloomquist knows his team has the tools they need in order to come out on top. Join the voice of the Sun Devils, Tim Healy. It's ASU baseball versus Texas Tech. Pregame at 6:15 p.m. and first pitch at 6:30 right here on KDUS AM 1060 and online at KDUS1060.com/Sun Devils.
Now that we know the Phoenix Suns will be looking for a new head coach, what are they going to look for in their new guy on the sidelines? Who is going to have a say in that process? I think the logical next step here in this ongoing saga that will be retooling the Phoenix Suns this offseason will be figuring out who is the right guy on the sidelines, because they have not figured that out since Matt Ishbia became the owner of this team. Didn't want to continue with Monty. Didn't think Frank Vogel could cut it after 1 year. Same goes for Mike Budenholzer as of this morning. So we get to use one of my favorite phrases, what are the non-negotiables? What are the things that you absolutely have to have? Because you can do a lot of different things with your coaching search. You can get somebody that's going to win the press conference. It's going to say all the right things, going to endear himself to the media, but isn't maybe the greatest X's and O's coach. So do you go for winning the press conference? Do you go for a veteran coach with NBA head coaching experience? Do you go with a young and up-and-coming assistant coach? Do you pluck somebody from the college ranks? What is it that the Suns should go for in their next head coach? And the issue with that is I think there are a bunch of different ways to do this. There are a bunch of different ways you could go. Most of the time, and we see this in football quite a bit, you have an offensive-minded head coach, things don't work, you fire that guy, the pendulum normally swings in the other direction. The pendulum swings back to, I'm going to go to a defensive guy this go around. If you have a defensive guy, it doesn't work, you don't really break through, you fire that guy, let me get the hot up-and-coming offensive coordinator to run my team. The pendulum kind of swings back and forth, and we can apply it to the Phoenix Suns. They had a defensive-minded coach in Frank Vogel, and they thought in service of being a defensive-minded team, they lost too much on the offensive end. So the pendulum swung all the way in a different direction. We still have a coach that's won a championship. We still have somebody who's a veteran, who's been around the block, but this is a guy who's an offensive genius. This is a guy who's a master on that side of the floor. The pendulum swung. Does it swing back? Do they find somebody more in the middle? I don't know if we want to arbitrarily put that pendulum on this, but you could see it swinging backwards and the Suns going in that direction. To me, we talked about confidence being very important earlier in the program. There is one word that I keep coming back to outside of confidence that I think should be the framework and the guidance for this entire search. You have to rebuild this culture. The culture of the Phoenix Suns stinks. I can list off things that just happened this season. A head coach not talking to a player after he benched him, not giving him an explanation to why he was being removed from the rotation, when earlier in that head coach's tenure, he flew to Yusuf Nurkic's home country to sit down personally and meet with him and outline a plan for him. Less than a couple of months into the season, the relationship fractured so much to the point where they weren't speaking. He called Devin Booker, that being Mike Budenholzer, into a meeting and told him to tone it down. Don't be so vocal. Had a back and forth with Kevin Durant on the sidelines. That's culture. That is a team that is not acting like a team. That is what the Suns need to address first and foremost. They need to bring somebody in here that is going to establish a winning and accountability culture. So what does that mean? When I say a winning culture, an accountability culture, where does my mind immediately go to? I want to get somebody who right now is coaching on a team that's having some success. I want to pick from the Boston Celtics. I want to pick from the Oklahoma City Thunder, the Golden State Warriors, teams that are either right now at their prime, at their peak, their championship window is fully open, or a team like Golden State who's just constantly been there year in and year out. I want to pick from the teams that have had the most success. And I will tell you, a name has jumped out to me in doing my research. Am I going to tell you that I am the foremost expert on this guy? No, I am not. But when I think of culture, when I think of picking somebody from a winner, when I think of trying to find somebody who's young and up and coming, because I do think that's important, somebody who maybe is more relatable to the players, Dave Bliss of the Oklahoma City Thunder jumped off the page to me in a very quick bit of research I did this morning. You've got a guy who is, I think he's 38 or 39, about to turn 40. I think his birthday is later on this month, so might turn 40 this month. But he's with Oklahoma City. So he's been a part of Oklahoma City since 2019. So he has seen this team go from hoarding all those draft picks and trying to develop this to now being the number 1 seed in the Western Conference. This is a guy who's worked in the college ranks, who's been with Oklahoma City. He is part of their defensive philosophy. He oversees their defense. Pendulum swinging back in the other direction. And Oklahoma City doesn't go from where they were to a team that's the 1 seed if you don't have an overhaul in culture. Because guess what? Dave Bliss was there for 2 regimes. He was there with Billy Donovan, and now he has stayed into this next era of Thunder basketball. Just one name I'm throwing out there, but you see the boxes that I'm looking for. Culture, somebody who's been a part of a winning program. I don't necessarily think you need to have NBA head coaching experience. We kind of did that. We got guys who had the utmost of NBA head coaching experience. The last 2 coaches that were brought here were guys who have won NBA championships, who have been the best of the best, have hardware in their trophy cases at home. That didn't work. So I don't need to marry myself to somebody who has NBA head coaching experience. Would I like it? Sure, it has its value. But culture overrides all of that for me. Culture overrides getting somebody who's been around the block a couple of times, who's maybe had levels of success, has won a couple playoff series. I need to make sure that the guy that I bring in is going to get along with my players, and not in a defer kind of way, as in let the players do whatever they want, but it is going to be working in tandem to build the right culture, hold those guys accountable in the right way, and create the type of environment that players want to be a part of. And you know who's going to have the biggest say in all of that? Devin Booker is going to have the biggest say in all of that. Everything you read today about the Suns and their coaching decision this morning is that this team is going to retool, rebuild, whatever word you want to use, around Devin Booker. What does that tell me? That Book is going to have a say in this process, as he should. If you are committed to keeping Book and building around him, he deserves a say. He deserves a seat at the table. Now, you may not want Booker to be here. You may think he's had chance after chance after chance, hasn't worked out. You think the Suns should explore trading him this summer. That is a fair opinion to have. That is a fair argument to make. But I don't think they're going to do that. I think they want to keep him. They want to build around him. And I think if you are going to bring him in and you're going to keep him on board and you want to build around him, he deserves a seat at the table. Not the final say, but he deserves a say. He deserves a chance to articulate to the front office, whoever that may be, to ownership, what he's looking for in the next head coach. That is what this process needs to look like. That is the way you get somebody in here that builds that winning culture. If he has an ally in the star player on the team. Hour number 1 of the program in the books. Hour number 2 right around the corner when we come back. Where did things go wrong for the Phoenix Suns and Mike Budenholzer? We'll try to figure that out next. It's the lunch break, KDUS AM 1060.
AM 1060 KDUS Tempe Phoenix and KSLX HD2 Scottsdale Phoenix.
Hey, it's Austin Clark, owner of Moxie Pest Control. Did you know there's over 1,000 pest control companies in Arizona? So why is Moxie the highest and most reviewed pest control company in Arizona? Because at Moxie, we put people first, and we believe in paying it forward. That means kindness every time. It means showing up on time, going the extra mile, and treating your home like it's our own. And by taking a little extra time in our service, we make a few friends along the way. Our field experts are the kind of people you'll feel good having around your spouse, your kids, and your pets. Yes, we've trained them to solve pest problems better, but also to care more, smile more, and earn your trust at every visit. We offer same-day services in most cases, and we'll even give you 50% off your first service when you call. Call 888-MOXIE-10. That's 888-MOXIE-10. Moxie Pest Control, the highest and most reviewed pest control company in Arizona.
In one corner, a tasty sausage, egg, and cheese McGriddles. That sweet griddle cakes and savory sausage powerhouse. In the other corner, a warm sausage McMuffin with egg, toasted to perfection and stacked with melty goodness. Two breakfast icons ready to battle it out for your taste buds. Except, why choose? Get both when you mix and match two for $5 at McDonald's. Yeah, that's the move for the win. And don't forget to order ahead in the app. Ba-da-ba-ba-ba. Prices and participation may vary. Cannot be combined with any other offer or combo meal. Single item at regular price.
Rock and Roll Hall of Fame inductee, Peter Frampton. Let's Do It Again tour, June 25th, Arizona Financial Theater. Grammy winner, the one and only Peter Frampton. On sale now at livenation.com.
It starts with a simple order, a cold Dos Equis dressed with salt and lime. But for the salt clinging to the bottle and the lime perched on top, this is the luckiest of unions. As if the universe has swiped right, pairing flavors together with a crisp Dos Equis. This is refreshment designed by fate, blessed by destiny, and served by bartenders. Enjoy Dos Equis responsibly. Copyright 2024 Dos Equis, imported by Cervezas Mexicanas, White Plains, New York.
Fulton Homes is bringing legendary Fulton quality back to the West Valley. Explore 4 exceptional West Valley locations with more standard features and thousands of ways to personalize your home. Find out why people buy Fulton Homes over and over again. Fulton Homes, you're proud to own, we're proud to build.
AM 1060 KDUS Tempe Phoenix and KSLX HD2 Scottsdale Phoenix.
Hour number 2 of the lunch break here on KDUS AM 1060. Chris Schubert here with you. Appreciate you being here. We got producer Ivan behind the glass on what is a big news day for the Phoenix Suns. Woke up this morning, got here to the studio, started to put the show together, and then boom, just like that, the Suns made the decision to fire Mike Budenholzer after just one season on the sidelines. 82 games, that's it. He was in the first year of a 5-year, $50 million contract, and for the second straight year, the Suns fire a guy 1 year into the contract that coach signed. It will be 4 coaches in 4 years for your Phoenix Suns. And I want to start hour number 2 of the program by trying to figure out where this went off the rails, where this went sideways. Where did things go wrong for Mike Budenholzer and the Phoenix Suns? Is this just a case of Budenholzer paying the price for the entire era of Suns basketball, that this was completely being a mess? Or is there stuff that went wrong during this season that Mike Budenholzer and Mike Budenholzer alone has to own? And I'll tell you, it's really difficult to pinpoint exactly where things went off the rails, because this team did start 8-1. This team got off to a extremely hot start. I'm the the dummy that said on the air after that 8-1 start that we could be talking about this team being in the mix for one of the top couple of seeds in the Western Conference? I was the dummy that said this is going to be a season of redemption, that could be the storyline that plays out for the Suns this season. I said all those things before the year, and then they got off to that 8-1 start and felt kind of validated. Felt like we were kind of on to something. Felt like they figured it out. They did get the right coach. They are pushing the right buttons. And so maybe you want to pinpoint when Kevin Durant got hurt. Maybe you want to pinpoint when Yusuf Nurkic got sent to the moon, I believe is the phrase we used on the program for what Coach Bud did with Yusuf Nurkic. Benching him, not playing him a single minute, him being the third center in this rotation. Maybe you want to look at the disagreement with Devin Booker, the meeting that was called to say, hey, dude, tone it down. Don't be so vocal. Let the coaches coach. Maybe that's where things went wrong. Maybe it was the disagreement with Kevin Durant on the sidelines. Maybe it was the trade deadline and dangling Kevin Durant's name out there without actually involving Kevin Durant in that process. Maybe that's where it went wrong. There are so many story beats along this journey where you could say things went wrong for Mike Budenholzer and the Phoenix Suns. Team was 3-17 this season when Kevin Durant didn't play. They were 10-18 post the All-Star break. I mean, every number you want to look at about this team paints a picture of this thing going off the rails. I just don't know where I want to pick the starting point for it going off the rails. I don't know.
It's hard to pinpoint one, but for me, it's the Kevin Durant injury. And then it just started to snowball from there. As things went bad originally, they just continued to get worse. And that is a culture problem. And we've highlighted culture so much today. But there was no recovery at all for this team. They had that 1 4-game winning streak where you're like, oh, okay, late in the year. But other than that, as things started to go poorly, there was never, okay, let's right this ship, or they're going to go in the right direction here. And that never happened. And those things just continued to get worse. And as one bad story came out, it felt like the other one was just right around the corner.
So they won 7 in a row from October 26th all the way through November 8th. They were 8-1 at that point. Then Durant got hurt. That 7-game winning streak. They then had a couple of 3-game winning streaks, but then they had that 4-game winning streak at the end of March. That's it. They never were able to recapture the magic from that first 9-game stretch. But, and I don't mean to pick on you, producer Evan, but I will here a little bit. You say that they never really got it back. There was a moment in time when they beat Golden State Friday, January 31st, and they were 25-22. They were 3 games above 500. They had crawled back from being 16-19 a couple weeks before that. Remember, that was the game that it was the second game of Bradley Beal coming off the bench. So Bradley Beal on that Monday against Philadelphia came off the bench for the first time, and then they lost to Charlotte in Charlotte. An inexcusable loss. Shouldn't have lost to Charlotte, but they lost that game. They were 16-19 at that point. They rallied to be 25-22 right around the trade deadline. You felt really good about things that Friday when they went into Golden State and beat Golden State by 25. I can remember it vividly. We were talking at the time about this being a really pivotal turning point. The trade deadline's right around the corner. Golden State is a team at this point you are directly competing with. You have the same record. You are 2 teams trying to figure it out. You are 2 teams that are wondering, has our championship window closed? Do we need to start selling off pieces? And I remember leaving the studio, was watching the game on my phone. My daughter had a softball thing, and I was sitting there watching this game thinking to myself, wow, they're going to go into Golden State, and they're going to beat the Warriors. This team may not be good enough to win a championship. They may not be to that level of what we expected, but perhaps they can make the playoffs. Perhaps they can make a little bit of noise once they get there. Perhaps not all hope is lost. And then after that, they proceeded to lose 2 straight to Portland and get embarrassed by Oklahoma City. And then that stretch was when we said, okay, this is done. If you can't beat Portland one time in a 2-game stretch, what are we even doing here? What are we doing? And then you lost to Memphis and Houston going into the All-Star break. You came out of the All-Star break and lost to San Antonio. And then on Thursday, February 27th, you lost to New Orleans 124-116. Why is that game important? Because reporting today from Dwayne Rankin and in the Arizona Republic said that was around the time when the Suns started to consider making a coaching change. That when Coach Bud's future was first really up in the air was after that game. They were 27-32 at that point. 8-1 start. Durant got hurt. Things fell off the rails. They rallied back. They had that great moment on Friday, January 31st, but they stood pat at the deadline. They didn't do anything because, again, we all said they weren't going anywhere. Trading for Jimmy Butler didn't make any sense. You were going to give up way too much. You were going to mortgage your future for a year that wasn't going anywhere. But hey, you're at least good enough with the roster that you have right now to maybe make some noise in the second half of the season. And then it just all fell apart. So I don't know where it all went wrong. It's easy to look at the Durant injury and say, well, if he never gets hurt, do they just continue that hot stretch and then they don't face any adversity? But I think my response would be the moment they faced any level of adversity, they folded. So whether or not it happened on Sunday, November 10th, or whether it happened in the middle of January, this team was going to fold under any level of adversity.
100%. And that comes with what we've talked about all day. And the word of the day, as you deemed it a few segments ago, in culture. It just happened with the Kevin Durant injury.
It just happened early.
And that's why I picked that as the spot, is that was the first adversity they saw. That's when you kind of knew that the wheels could come off of this thing. They were 8-1. And say what you will, everybody here was excited. Everybody everywhere was excited.
And you look at those first couple of games, right? And I remember talking about them. They dug themselves a hole early to the Lakers and came back. They dug themselves an early hole against the Clippers and came back. Booker was dropping 40 points early in the season. Durant was looking like vintage Durant. You just thought to yourself, man, they figured this out. They got a coach that was going to unlock them offensively, and they were going to be a juggernaut. And then Durant got hurt, and just the wheels completely fell off. But I think by making that the point where things fall off the rails, we're absolving a lot of people of blame that still deserve blame. I think by saying, oh, it's when Durant got hurt is an excuse to run it back, which we know is not feasible. We know it is not the right outcome. So to me, this went off the rails when you started having problems with Jusuf Nurkic. That, to me, is when things started to go wrong, because that was really the first time where a lot of us sat back and went, really? That's how you want to handle this? You're the coach. You're supposed to be the bigger person. You're supposed to go to your player and say, hey, we're making this change. You're supposed to be respectful up front and tell that guy what's going on. You don't? You don't tell him what's going on? You don't tell Jusuf Nurkic you're making a change? You don't tell him, hey, I got to try to spark something here. I'm making this adjustment. We'll try to work you back in. You continue to work hard. We'll find a spot for you. But you don't have that open, honest conversation? That, to me, is when things started to go south. That is the moment of time where I would pick that things went wrong for the Phoenix Suns, because it was the first crack, I think, in the armor of, oh man, this team isn't communicating correctly. This team isn't on the same page. And once that crack formed, it just grew. It just exploited itself over the course of the rest of the season.
Between that headline and the meeting he had with Devin Booker, we've seen bad locker rooms throughout the history of sports, but those were two of the craziest headlines I've ever seen come out of a professional team's locker room.
Yeah, I mean, I don't mean to poke fun, but I'm going to play a drop. We are going to have some of those tough conversations. That's what you're supposed to do as a head coach. Like, you're supposed to have the tough conversations. You're supposed to be able to be the bigger person and present these things in the right way. You're supposed to go to Jusuf Nurkic and say, hey, dude, this is what's up. You can go to Devin Booker and tell him what you want to get across, like that maybe he's doing too much, but to do it in the right way, to try to get him to be on the same page with you. Bring him in and say, listen, kind of feels like we're not aligned here. I want to get us realigned so that we're on the same page, that we're all rowing this boat in the right direction. Instead of pulling him into the office and saying, hey, dude, tone it down. Shut up. Don't talk as much. There's a way to go about this. And he didn't. And so you can pick, I think, any of those things that occurred. But that, to me, is where this season went south. When you started to see that, oh, this coach does not have a handle on this room. This coach does not have a handle on the culture, and it is just as bad as it was last year. Once that crack formed, it just grew and grew and grew throughout the season.
Imagine how many people he lost in that locker room when he sits down Nurk and doesn't have a conversation. How, as a player on that team, do you think your head coach has your back anymore? How do you come back from that?
Yeah, and then, something I didn't even bring up in the laundry list of things, the lineup decisions, keeping Tyus Jones in as the point guard when he was giving games away with turnovers late in the second half, pinning Ryan Dunn to the bench when you could have used the youthful energy and defensive intensity that he provides. There are just so many things you can pick from. It is so hard to pinpoint one thing where this season went south. I tried. I think I'm arbitrarily picking the Yusuf Nurkic thing, but to me, that's when the first cracks started to form of this coach not having a good feel for his room, not having the control of that room the way you would want to see from a head coach, and really the first signs that the culture was bad. But there are a bunch of things I don't think we've even talked about. We haven't talked a bunch about, Bol not playing and him just ignoring Bol. The Durant stuff on the sidelines, the way he handled himself post-game, never really taking accountability, always just kind of giving these half-hearted answers of, yeah, we got to do better. And the list just goes on and on and on.
It wasn't even that deep into the season. In January, I was thinking these press conferences are painful.
It's like pulling teeth.
It was painful. It was so hard to watch, and they continued to get worse. And we talked about it, and I'm sure we'll continue to talk about it. When you knew the writing was on the wall, why not make a change then?
Yeah, and if in that building, in those offices, you thought in February, after they lost to the Pelicans, whoa, this might be sliding off the rails a little bit. Are we sure that this is the guy we want as the coach of this team? I think the moment that thought entered your mind, if you wanted to save this season, if you thought, like Matt Ishbia has said, we're going to be a tough out for somebody when we make the play-in, right? Remember that story in ESPN when he said, we're going to be a tough out? If you truly believe that, the moment the doubt creeped into your minds about Coach Bud and about whether or not he was the right guy for the job, you should have made the move and given somebody a chance over those final 20-something games. You should have made the move then, but you didn't. And now here we are with a team that's about to have a third straight offseason with a coaching search. And you just have to hope they get this right. When we come back, your phone calls always welcome, 480-864-1060. We've also got you on the KDUS AM 1060 YouTube live stream. What does firing another head coach say about owner Matt Ishbia? That's next on the lunch break, KDUS AM 1060.
Ready to tackle each morning with the best sports information coming at you?
I'm going to take a logical approach.
Get that weekday mornings on KDUS AM 1060 from 6 to 9 a.m. with the Dan Patrick Show. Dan Patrick, the Danettes, sports icons, sports legends, celebrities, poll questions. The Dan Patrick Show has it all.
It's a crapshoot.
Be sure to lock your dials to AM 1060 or 100.7 HD2 from 6 to 9 a.m. Mornings just got better.
This story is about us.
A new diamond era begins. Desert Diamond Casino White Tanks is now open. There's even more of your favorite slots and tables, a sports book, an atmosphere sparkling with excitement, and top names like the legendary Morton's Steakhouse and signature Starbucks coffee. Best of all, this stunning new destination is right at Loop 303 and Northern Parkway. So come and live the diamond life. Desert Diamond Casino.
An enterprise of the Donald Automation.
Hi, welcome to the IKEA Spring Sale. How can I help?
Oh, hi. It's time for spring cleaning and I need a total refresh.
Perfect. Huge savings in store and online can help you refresh for less. Save up to 50% off on hundreds of select outdoor, garage, bathroom items and more.
Oh.
Plus, loyalty members can save an extra 10% on select sale items.
Wow. Now I won't have to spring break the bank.
Shop the IKEA Spring Sale March 18th through April 21st.
Offer valid 3/18 to 4/21/25. U.S. only while supplies last. Selection may vary. See store and IKEA-USA.com/spring sale for details. Restrictions apply.
As the old saying goes, size matters.
At Morgan & Morgan, we have over 1,000 lawyers and nearly 6,000 people on staff.
But at the core, this is and always has been a family business.
Our family watching out for your family.
Call us or email us 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, even on a Saturday or a Sunday.
And if you ever have a problem, call our mom.
Morgan & Morgan.
For the people and your family.
Injured? Dial pound law or visit forthepeople.com for an office near you.
I'm so glad we got to meet for coffee. It's been forever.
I know. I love this place. They have the best coffee in town.
Did you really bring your own milk to add?
You don't BYOM. This high protein milk is everything. It's packed with vitamins and protein, and the kids love it.
Okay, if you're sneaking in milk from home, I have to give it a try.
When it makes you a milk smuggler, it's undeniably dairy. A message from your Arizona milk producers.
I'm Dan Patrick, and this is Above the Noise. When we think of a quarterback worthy of a top 5 pick, you can have generational talent like John Elway or Andrew Luck, players who dominated in high school and college, and then seemingly destined for greatness. Well, the road to stardom isn't always that simple. Sometimes the best QBs aren't the ones who were anointed early, but the ones who fought their way to the top. Joe Burrow wasn't an overnight sensation. He had to transfer, develop before becoming the number 1 pick overall. Jordan Love, a 2-star recruit before landing at Utah State. Baker Mayfield had to walk on at Texas Tech before transferring to Oklahoma and eventually becoming a Heisman winner. Now Cam Ward is trying to write a similar story. From Incarnate Word to Washington State to Miami, his path to the draft hasn't been smooth. That's what the NFL is all about. While some quarterbacks are destined for greatness from day one, history reminds us a smooth sea never made a skilled sailor. I'm Dan Patrick, and this is Above the Noise. A great lawn is like a great sports team. It takes expertise and a little extra care to stand out, and that's where True Green comes in. Here's the best part. It's more affordable than you think. They'll even match any competitor's price. Plus, True Green backs it all up with a satisfaction guarantee. Not happy? They will come back between visits to make it right. So don't wait. Head to truegreen.com today and let the pros do the work while you sit back and enjoy the results. Exclusions apply. See truegreen.com for details. Tires matter. They're the only part of your vehicle that touches the road. Tread confidently with new tires from Tire Rack. Whether you're looking for expert recommendations or know exactly what you want, Tire Rack makes it really easy. Fast, free shipping, free road hazard protection, convenient installation options, and the best selection of Yokohama tires. Go to TireRack.com/Dan, see their Yokohama test results, tire ratings, and reviews, and be sure to check out all the special offers. TireRack.com, the way tire buying should be.
The Varsity Sports Show live with Vince D'Alessio every Saturday morning from 9 to 11 a.m. Features all the local youth, high school, college sports, and more, both around the Valley and beyond. Enjoy go-to segments with coaches and players from around the Valley. Tune in to the Varsity Sports Show with Vince and guests Saturday morning from 9 to 11 a.m. right here on KTUS AM 1060. Online at KTUS1060.com and the KTUS 1060 app.
Matt Ishbia has fired another head coach. And the Suns will be looking for a new guy on the sidelines next season. What does this firing say about Matt Ishbia? Does it say that he is closer to understanding what is going wrong with his brand new basketball franchise? Or is it further proof of a super aggressive, want to win now owner that is willing to just blow things up the moment things go wrong? Which way do you want to look at what Matt Ishbia did today? How do you want to look at it? Do you want to view it as this being the first step of turning things around? Or is it somebody who still has new owner syndrome? An owner that still doesn't actually know a right decision from a wrong decision. And do you want to know why I think I struggle with that question? Because the Suns made the right decision today But I think everybody knew that that was the right decision to make today. And so they would have made the decision regardless, I think, of whether or not they had fired coaches in years past. You just look at the resume, you look at the record, this isn't good enough. We've got to move on. So what does this say about Matt Ishbia? All eyes are going to be focused on what he does this offseason. What does this organization prioritize in their new head coach? Matt Ishbia has admitted failure again. He admitted failure last year, sort of, kinda. He still said that. What was the direct quote? I want to make sure we get this accurate. I believe there was a quote about 27 of 30 NBA teams would trade places with us. This was after getting swept by the Minnesota Timberwolves in the first round. I believe the quote was 27 other teams would trade rosters with us, that they would rather have our roster than their roster. And we kind of laughed at it at the time, like, really, dude? You still think your roster is good enough to win a championship? You just got swept out of the first round after getting knocked out in the second round the year prior. You still think this is the right roster? Producer Evan looks like he's got the quote, so let's make sure we get this correct.
Quote, Matt Ishbia, 26 of the other 29 general managers would trade their whole team for our whole team, our draft picks, and everything as is. End quote.
You want to talk about a cold takes exposed moment for Matt Ishbia. That quote aged poorly. Give it to me one more time, please. One more time with that quote.
26 of the other 29 GMs would trade their whole team for our whole team.
Hold on. Whole team for our whole team.
Our draft picks and everything as is.
You don't have any of your draft picks. You've given them all away. I know you got a couple back. They're not actually yours, but you've traded away all of your draft picks. You don't have any. Does he still think that 26 of the 29 other GMs would trade their roster for his roster?
This morning he said it's down to 23. No, I'm just kidding.
How about the 20 teams that are participating in the playoffs while the Suns are sitting at home? You think those 20 teams would want to trade rosters and trade spots? You think that would be the case? See, this is why we're not going to actually know if Matt Ishbia has learned anything. Because as Michael, one of our regulars over on the YouTube side of things, says, that the decision to firing Coach Bud was an easy one. Now the rest will be much harder. And it is the harder decisions, the rest of these decisions, that will tell us if this process was a learning opportunity. I feel like the Phoenix Suns get compared to my daughter's softball team on a regular basis. It is just the analogy that I am drawn towards. But one of the things that I teach the girls on a regular basis, I probably say it at least once a practice, if not more, at least once a game. And we played 2 games over the weekend. I tell the girls all the time, I don't care that you made a mistake. You're going to make mistakes. It's life. You're 9, 10 years old. I make mistakes. I'm 30. I'm going to make mistakes coaching you. I'm going to make mistakes at my job. I'm going to make mistakes all the time. But what defines those mistakes is, do I learn from them or do I allow them to happen again? If you're going to make a mistake, we need to learn from it and not make the same mistake again. So Matt Ishbia, in his short run as owner of the Phoenix Suns, has made plenty of mistakes. Trading for Kevin Durant clearly was a mistake. You traded all of that. You traded all of that to not win a championship. Trading for Bradley Beal was a mistake. Frank Vogel, Mike Budenholzer, mistakes. The rosters that you built last year and this year, those were mistakes. You have made mistakes. I think you're in the process of admitting to those mistakes. But what allows me to remove the tag of new owner syndrome, because it is still out there, that tag still applies to Matt Ishbia. What sheds that label from Matt and pushes me towards, we've used 2 words on the program today, culture and confidence. What moves me towards being more confident in this decision-making apparatus is, can you give me the signs that you have learned from your mistakes? If you just hold on to Bradley Beal and you hire a 50, 60-year-old head coach who's been around the block a couple of times, a retread coach, and you want to still try to compete at a decently high level, then you have told me you have learned absolutely nothing from what has gone on. You go out and you hire a young up-and-coming head coach. You take the pain and you buy out Bradley Beal. You maximize the return on Kevin Durant, and you maybe skew it more towards some young pieces, some young players for the future. That tells me that you've learned something. That points me in a direction of I can be confident that the last 3 years have sucked, but at least we learned something from it. What will make these 3 years suck even more is if it is a fourth year of sucking because you try to do the same thing all over again. This is not a case of you got to do something. It is not a case of that. It is a case of being very, very specific. You're supposed to be better prepared. We need to be better prepared this summer. We need to make the right decisions. We can't just willy-nilly make these calls. We can't just try to run it back, sort of, kind of, and try to be the 5 seed or the 6 seed or the 4 seed next year and thinking that that is a realistic expectation. You cannot do that. You have to take the small step backwards. You have to be willing to say, okay, we still have Devin Booker. That's a huge piece to have in your back pocket. If we get this Kevin Durant trade right, we draft well again, we get the right voice in the front office. Again, I am not going to let up there. There needs to be a change in the front office. You get a good voice in the front office, a new president of basketball operations that may have some fresh ideas. Now the boat's rowing in the right direction. And now we can all start to believe, okay, you'll learn something from going through 4 coaches in 4 years. You learn something from having a $400+ million payroll. You learn something from being a second-round exit and then being a first-round sweep and then not making the play-in tournament. You learn something from trading all of that stuff for Kevin Durant, for trading for Bradley Beal, who has a no-trade clause. You need to give me proof that you learned something from all of this. Firing Coach Bud is not proof that you have learned something. The rest of this summer is going to tell us whether or not you've learned something.
Remember last week we talked about an article, and I can't remember exactly where it was from, but about being patient and how the Suns hadn't been patient. And it felt like everything was rushed, and they referred to the Rockets and the Thunder. This was an
athletic story. It was an athletic story.
Yeah, a story from The Athletic where they talked about how the Suns need to be patient.
Yep.
Is that part of the learning process for Ishbia now as you get into not a rebuild, but a retool? Is that what it's going to be?
Yes.
Is it going to be sit back in 2026, come back the next year after, and let's try to get back and make our push?
Here's the sad part. Here's the sad reality. It's kind of comical. They can take a step backwards. They can be patient and retool, and they might be a better basketball team next year. They can actually do the right thing here.
They're certainly going to be deeper.
They can fumble themselves into actually having a better record. They can take the small step backwards. They can be patient. They can trade Kevin Durant. They can buy out Bradley Beal. They can invest in some young players in the draft, and it could actually lead to better on-court results next season. So you can actually do the right thing, take a step backwards, and next season's going to be more fun. But the concern that all of us have is, are they going to be able to make the right decisions to allow that to play out, or are they going to try to force a square peg in a round hole? That's the problem. John over on YouTube says, but Booker has been here all the time and we come close once. What about all of the other playoff failures with Booker on this team? Maybe he is the problem. And I understand that there is a small pocket of fans that still believe that Devin Booker is the problem. We're not going to legislate that this offseason. Let's legislate that next offseason. Let's have that conversation 2 off seasons from now. I don't think you run any risk by waiting another year to decide on Devin Booker. I don't think you run any risk by focusing this summer on building a new roster, because you're going to build a brand new roster. You're going to hire a young and up-and-coming head coach. If you move on from Booker in a year, okay, so be it. You still have a young roster. You still have a young coach. You can still move in the right direction regardless of what you do this offseason. I think trying to move Booker, trying to move Durant, buying out Bradley Beal, that's way too many things. Getting a new head coach, that's a lot of stuff to do in one offseason. So I am not in a rush to trade Devin Booker. That's me personally. I watched the guy win an Olympic gold medal and play at an elite level. So if you're telling me that he doesn't come through in clutch moments in the postseason, I mean, I get it. There are all these things that you can point to, but the dude was part of an Olympic basketball team. And when they build this roster, when they build the new version of the Phoenix Suns, they are going to get him a partner. He is going to have a running mate that might be better than him. He might be the one. That guy might be the two. He is not going to be alone on an island. Next year, he might be. But 2 years from now, that might not be the case. So just let this play out before you want to completely blow everything up. To me, that is the nuclear option, the red button in the middle of the table that I just don't think needs to be pressed right now. Maybe next summer you press it, but I'm not sure that's the case right now. Coming up on the other side of the break, did some late Friday news upend the entire NFL draft? That's next on the lunch break. KDUS AM 1060.
Ready to tackle each morning with the best sports information coming at you?
I'm going to take a logical approach.
Get that weekday mornings on KDUS AM 1060 from 6 to 9 a.m. with the Dan Patrick Show. Dan Patrick, the Danettes, sports icons, sports legends, celebrities, poll questions. The Dan Patrick Show has it all.
It's a crapshoot.
Be sure to lock your dials to AM 1060 or 100.7 HD2 from 6 to 9 a.m. Mornings just got better.
This story is about us.
Take advantage of thousands of dollars in SRP rebates and discounts on energy-efficient home upgrades like new air conditioning units, windows, ducts, and insulation. Save money on your energy bill while also making your home more comfortable. SRP's network of participating contractors can guide you from start to finish and maximize your savings by combining Inflation Reduction Act incentives with SRP rebates. Learn more at savewithsrp.com.
Catch the Spring and Bloom event at Whole Foods Market with savings for Easter, casual gatherings, and more. Save on no antibiotics ever meat, best of season spring produce, brunch favorites, sweets, and more through April 22nd.
A family called us recently after being told they had no case.
But we found evidence many others had missed and helped them win the largest car crash verdict in Arizona that year. Hiring the wrong lawyer can cost you everything.
Call the husband and wife law team first.
Pierce the Veil. I Can't Hear You World Tour 2025. Pierce the Veil. Live in concert in Phoenix. With Sleeping with Sirens and Beach Weather. Live at Talking Stick Resort Amphitheater, June 15th. Get tickets now at livenation.com. Part of the America First Credit Union Concert Series.
Hey, Mike Barrow from Barrow's Pizza here. The way we see it, family isn't just a cherished thing, it's everything. For us, that starts with our Grandma Angelina's family recipes brought over from Sarconi, Italy, like our sweet and tangy pizza sauce, 100% real mozzarella, and our fresh dough made every morning. And because every Barrow's is family-owned, never franchised, we personally make sure the quality's there at every location. So stop in and give Barrow's Pizza a try. It's authentic food from our family to yours.
Looking to sell your home? Hi, I'm Andrew the Home Buyer, and I love making it easy to sell your house. I'll personally come and give you a cash offer the same day we meet, and I'll beat any other offer. It really is that easy to sell your home, and no need to clean or fix anything. I'll buy it in as-is condition. Call me, Andrew the Home Buyer, today to get your same-day cash offer. Visit AndrewTheHomebuyer.com.
The Varsity Sports Show live with Vince D'Alessio every Saturday morning from 9 to 11 a.m. Features all the local youth, high school, college sports, and more, both around the Valley and beyond. Enjoy go-to segments with coaches and players from around the Valley. Tune in to the Varsity Sports Show with Vince and guests Saturday morning from 9 to 11 a.m. right here on KTUS AM 1060. Online at KTUS1060.com and the KTUS 1060 app.
Did a piece of news on Friday, less than 2 weeks from the NFL draft, completely upend things inside the top 10. It was on Friday. that we learned that Derek Carr has a shoulder injury that puts his entire 2025 season in jeopardy. He has an injury that he is debating on whether or not to have surgery, and it could put the entire 2025 campaign on the line. Why does that impact the NFL draft? Well, because the New Orleans Saints pick at number 9 inside the top 10, and all of the latest reporting as of this morning points to the Cleveland Browns and the New York Giants both passing on Shedeur Sanders. Cam Ward's going to go number 1. The Giants and the Browns are going to pass on Shedeur Sanders, and so we are left trying to figure out where Shedeur Sanders is going to end up. And it looks like the slide might stop at number 9, that he might not make it outside of the top 10. I know there have been some mock drafts that have him at pick number 21 to the Steelers. We've discussed if him sliding would help the Arizona Cardinals. If a team wants to move up in front of the Cardinals to try to take him, does it actually work against the Cardinals if he starts to fall? Because that means other positions are going in front of him. Lots of different ways to slice it. But if inside the top 10 there is uncertainty, and the Saints' top position to get drafted in the first round has moved up to quarterback, it's the favorite. We talked about this last week on the show, that the top position for the Cardinals is defensive line edge at, I think it was plus 170 when we discussed it. For the Saints, it was quarterback at plus 200. That was before this news of Derek Carr's status being up in the air. But I think you can basically call it a lock that Shedeur Sanders is going to go number 9 to the Saints if he gets there. If what we're hearing is true about the Browns and the Giants passing, I don't think this is a case where Shedeur Sanders is falling outside of the top 10. And what does that do for the rest of the draft? Does that impact things? Were we living in a reality that last week Shedeur was going to make it outside of the top 10 and that changes some teams' plans? What is the butterfly effect of that? All I know is as we move closer and closer to this draft, and I know that we have the leftovers coming up here in a little bit, and I know producer Evan has made it his mission to get one draft thing in every day the rest of the way, so can't wait to see what he has for us today on the show. But I feel the closer and closer that we get to the draft, the less and less confident I am in anything that I've said about this draft class. I am less and less confident in anything. It was 2 weeks ago, I said first 4 guys off the board: Cam Ward, Shedeur Sanders, Travis Hunter, Abdul Carter. Those 4 guys in some order, but it's those 4 guys 1 through 4. Well, that's not happening if Shedeur's getting by 2 and 3 because the Pats are not taking him at 4. So somebody else is going to jump in to one of those 3 spots. Cam Ward's going 1. Carter and Hunter are going to go some combination of 2, 3, and then the Patriots are going to make a decision at 4. But I am growing less and less confident with any of the predictions that I have. And maybe the Thursday of the draft, we'll do our predictions. Maybe we'll do a mock top 10, our predictive top 10 of what this is going to look like. But producer Evan, I don't know if you feel this way, but as we get closer and closer to the draft, I have no clue what's going on. Not a clue.
No, I have zero idea. I also, maybe I'm the only person that sits in this camp or has this belief.
Okay, I've got a drop for this.
If you're New Orleans, what does Derek Carr getting hurt have to do with how you draft your quarterback position? If there's not a guy at 9 that you believe is your guy, Kellen Moore just took the job. You have a new head coach, an offensive-minded head coach. If Shedeur's not his guy at 9, we'll come back next year. We'll draft a quarterback. I don't think Derek Carr rushes you. They were going to be horrible with Derek Carr. They'll be horrible without Derek Carr. They just don't have enough right now. And don't be rushed into taking a quarterback if he's not the one you like.
So I think it's fair. I think you're making a fair point that if you were completely out on Shedeur Sanders last Monday, that last Friday's news should not all of a sudden make you go, oh, we love Shedeur Sanders now, got to take him at number 9. But can you imagine a world where last Monday you're thinking, we like Shedeur Sanders. we kind of think he could be the quarterback of the future, but do we really want to do what the Falcons did with Kirk Cousins? We could have gotten out of Derek Carr's contract before the offseason. We didn't. We stayed here. And now you have an injury that's going to keep him out this year. And now you have to ask yourself, well, do we want him in 2026? Do we want him in 2027? So maybe you like Shedeur Sanders, but you were not so sure that you wanted to take him. You like him, maybe you love him, but you're just not so sure because you still have Derek Carr in the building. If Derek Carr has an injury that keeps him out for the entire 2025 season, I think you can now throw everything about Derek Carr's Saints future up in the air. And if that's the deciding factor, I can see the Saints going, you know what? Now we have to take Shedeur Sanders. Because before the news, quarterback was still the favored position amongst the betting markets for what the Saints were going to do with their first pick. So it was already a thought in everybody's mind that they were considering the idea of taking a quarterback. This might just reinforce it of not only do we maybe want to get out of Derek Carr in 2026, but now 2025 is completely up in the air. So everything is thrown off. We have to completely reevaluate. Perhaps. But yes, if you last Monday didn't like Shedeur Sanders, didn't like Jackson Dart, didn't want to take them at number 9, the worst thing you can do drafting is now force a quarterback pick. Do not do that. But I think a team that probably liked him already, probably were fans of him already, maybe looking for that final push to get them to hand in that card at number 9, I think you got it in the form of you may not have Derek Carr for 2025, and do you really want to sign up for all of that money for 2026 and beyond? So it could be the final kind of nudge for the Saints to make that pick. That's the way that I would present it.
I don't disagree with that, but I just don't think you can put yourself into a position where a quarterback injury forces you to take a quarterback you don't like. And all of that is a belief that maybe I'm not the biggest Shedeur guy in my head. Maybe I'm not as high on him as I think other teams, should be. And part of that is because 2 weeks ago, we talked about him going 2 or 3 or anything like that. And now he's going 9. And then we've seen him mocked in the 20s.
Yep.
Part of that is the fall. Part of that is there's been reports that the meetings have gone horribly wrong. I don't know what to think, especially as far as a quarterback goes. This is one that I have no idea. Like, I can't remember the second quarterback on the board fluctuating as much as he has over the last 2 weeks.
It is one of the more fascinating prospects I think that we're going to see get drafted on draft night, because he could go 2 or 3 and it wouldn't surprise me. And if he started to slide and he has an Aaron Rodgers or a Geno Smith night on draft night, that also wouldn't surprise me. So it'll be really interesting to see how it plays out. Normally, I don't know what stories are coming on the leftovers. That's normally the way things go. We have been on the air for an hour and 47 minutes. And the two of us have not taken a victory lap for our guy, Rory McIlroy. My guess is it's going to be the lead story in the leftovers. You'll have to find out because we'll do it next. The lunch break, KDUS, AM 1060.
Ready to tackle each morning with the best sports information coming at you?
I'm going to take a logical approach.
Get that weekday mornings on KDUS AM 1060 from 6 to 9 a.m. with the Dan Patrick Show. Dan Patrick, the Danettes, sports icons, sports legends, celebrities, poll questions. The Dan Patrick Show has it all.
It's a crapshoot.
Be sure to lock your dials to AM 1060 or 100.7 HD2 from 6 to 9 a.m. Mornings just got better.
This story is about us.
Hello, everybody. Eric Bryan, the owner of Precision Air and Plumbing, Arizona's #1 ranked AC company for over a decade. Manufacturers have raised new AC unit prices by up to 20%. But at Precision, we're selling new AC units at last year's prices and giving you 35% off. You won't get a better deal, so don't wait. If you're in the market for a new AC unit, make the Precision decision today and call us at 602-FIX-MY-AC.
Precision decision with Precision Air.
9 Inch Nails. Live at Footprint Center, September 16th. Get tickets now at NIN.com. 9 Inch Nails, live in Phoenix. Peel It Back World Tour 2025.
DQ presents Picture this. Picture your favorite DQ treat. Is it a blizzard treat? Maybe a cone? Are you feeling a shake? Could be a dilly bar kind of day. Or a peanut buster parfait. I'll wait for you to pick. Okay, now picture your favorite treat right where it belongs. In your hand, or your car cup holder, your bike basket, or your special treat fanny pack. Wherever it is, stop picturing it and get your real hands on a real DQ treat today. Only at DQ. Happy tastes good.
Are you tired of seeing rust stains in your sinks? Call Culligan or scrubbing hard water scale buildup from your fixtures. Call Culligan. We can customize whole home solutions to address common water worries found in Phoenix. And now, for a limited time, you can get better water at every tap in your home for $0 down, no payments, and no interest for 6 months. Problem water is no problem for Culligan. Contact your local water expert today. Contaminants may not be in your water. Dealer participation may vary. See dealer for details.
An early start to the weekend series for ASU baseball on KDUS AM 1060. Join the Sun Devils this Thursday evening as they return home to play host against Texas Tech. Coach Willie Bloomquist knows his team has the tools they need in order to come out on top. Join the voice of the Sun Devils, Tim Healy. It's ASU baseball versus Texas Tech. Pregame at 6:15 p.m. and first pitch at 6:30 right here on KDUS AM 1060 and online at KDUS1060.com/Sun Devils.
Back to wrap up what has been a busy day here on the program. Appreciate you joining us. Perhaps you're listening on the KDUS AM 1060 app. If you're listening over there, you can listen for your chance to win 4 tickets to Arizona Diamondbacks versus the Atlanta Braves on Saturday, April 26th at Chase Field. Get to the game early to get a Diamondbacks replica jersey courtesy of Casino Arizona and Talking Stick Resort. The first 25,000 fans at the game will get one. And get your tickets at dbacks.com/SGT. This is the part of the program that producer Evan takes over. I sit back, I relax, I just react to what he thinks we should talk about to close out the show. So producer Evan, take it away.
Well, it is time to take our victory.
Our guy! Yes!
As the first pick I ever gave out on air.
You were sweating it yesterday.
I was sweating it. And that was awesome. Yeah, I started 1 for 1. Some of the other picks didn't go great, but 1 for 1.
After the first hole, you're like, you got to do something. Please, Rory, please do something. Or were you...
Both feet on the ground, stand by what I said.
Where were you? What side of the
Got to do something.
So,
it felt like... I think
something.
I think I texted you. I'm watching the same movie. I've seen this 100 times. Feels like I'm watching Revenge of the Sith again. I know how this goes.
So you and I were going back and forth, and I was watching. I at one point had 3 screens. So I had the Diamondbacks game on, I had the Masters on, and I was also watching the Mets play. I had all 3 games on at one point, just kind of moving the audio back and forth between the 3 channels. And every time I just moved over to the Masters, I'm just like, please, Rory, please. As somebody who is a fan of yours, I'm in with my guy, producer Evan. We're rooting for you this week. I mean, please, dude, don't do this. And he doubles 1, and you're like, oh, no, here it goes. He has a 5-shot lead with 8 holes to go. He blows that, and you're just thinking to yourself, how does the ball go into the creek? How do we make that shot? How do we then recover on 15 around the tree? How do we hit that shot? How do we then birdie 17 to take the lead, and then it just collapses on 18? It was we use this phrase a lot, and I've seen a lot of people discuss it this way, but it was the ultimate roller coaster of emotions. We somehow on the front 9, he shot 1 under. I'm like, how did we get here?
It was one of the best days of golf I can remember it, and we talked about it in the morning meeting. Nothing will ever pass the 2019 Masters.
For me personally, no, that's number 1.
And for, I think, a lot of golf fans, but it was up there for golf tournaments I had seen, especially on a Sunday. One, you have Rory finish a career Grand Slam, which in both of our lifetimes, there's only been 2.
Right.
And one of them was Tiger. He's the first player ever to double bogey 4 holes in the tournament and win the thing. It's just like one of those magical stories. We've seen him blow up at Augusta so many times. The one everybody talks about, 2014, where he shoots 80 in the last day with a 4-stroke lead, finishes 8 over. It was just one of those awesome sports stories. And he's a great watch because Colin Cowherd described it best. He has every shot in his bag. he can do things like wrap it around the tree on 15 and go over water. And then he can also from 125 yards stuff it into the creek.
It was a emotional moment when he knocks in the putt on the playoff hole to win. And I thought there was no chance once he missed the putt on 18 the first time and they were going to a playoff that he was going to be able to have the nerves of steel to get it done. But you want to pressure is something that we talk about in sports, and we say you can't really see it, you just feel it, right? You saw pressure on Sunday because you saw it leave Rory McIlroy's body after he sunk that putt. You saw the pressure lift off of his shoulders in real time, and very rarely do you see moments like that. Very rarely do you see that type of emotion with that type of pressure. I mean, he had gone 10 years without winning a major championship. This is the one he has never been able to overcome. I mean, just all of those things working against him. It was super special to see. It was nerve-wracking. Our text message chain back and forth, we were like, oh my gosh, how is this happening? To never a doubt we had it the whole way. The range of emotions that we went through throughout the day as fans trying to cheer on Rory. One of the cool sporting moments of the year. And again, that golf course, man, that golf course is special. Tiger winning in 2019 this year. I mean, I'm a golf fan and I know golf's not for everybody, but boy, was that special yesterday to watch that for 18 holes.
What a day for golf and what a day for sports. Cause that was like an all-time sports moment.
Yes. It will be, I think, if we did this list at the end of the year, if we gave out top 5 sports moments of 2024 or 2025, I think that's going to be on the short list for sure.
100%. Moving to baseball, actually, Aaron Judge named the captain for the Team USA in the World Baseball Classic. I'm going to give you my thought first. Hate it. Should have been Trout or Harper.
So we need to explain to the audience, because what you've just done here is confused everybody, because you are a Philly guy. So you're going to default to Harper, who plays for your favorite baseball team, and Trout, who is from the Philadelphia area. So that's where the bias is. And because it's a Yankee and you're a Philly guy, you're against it. So now that we got that out of the way, no, this is the right choice for who the captain of Team USA should be in 2026. Now, he missed playing the last time because it was during his free agency period and everything that was going on there. And so he really wanted to focus on that and didn't want that to be a distraction. So he did not participate. DeRosa is back as the manager again. And today on MLB Network made the announcement and had Judge on to be the captain. And, you know, they lost. The U.S. lost last time around, losing to Japan. So they're going to want to get some revenge. They're going to want to show that the U.S. is still the world's champion when it comes to baseball. And the World Baseball Classic, I think, has, since its inception, has taken on a life of its own. And it has become this thing that is enjoyable even for non-baseball fans. And so having somebody like Aaron Judge in it is a good thing for the sport of baseball. So well done for DeRosa for picking Judge. Good on Judge for wanting to be a part of it. And who knows who's going to want to join Judge now in the pursuit of winning the World Baseball Classic next year. So this time next year, it'll be over, I think, based on the scheduling. But next spring, we will be talking about the World Baseball Classic here on the program.
It is pretty cool. It's a really cool event, and I think they do a nice job with it, considering baseball, one, should be in the Olympics, and this is kind of what they've had to replace it. And they do a really nice job with it. It's super competitive. Everybody loves it. I mean, the moments they gave you last year, obviously Ohtani striking out Trout to end it, the Trey Turner grand slam to get there, those were some like memorable baseball moments for me. In a tournament that really was just started not even 20 years ago.
And again, at the time when we got Trout versus Ohtani, they were teammates. That was Ohtani's last year in Anaheim with the Angels. And so it was something we had never seen before. Trout and Ohtani played together. So to see them with all of that pressure, and again, baseball is a sport where you can't design that. This isn't getting the ball in the hands of Devin Booker or Kevin Durant for the final shot. This isn't drawing up a play to throw a fade route to Marvin Harrison Jr. You can't script that. The game had to line up for Ohtani to face Trout with the game on the line in the 9th inning. So it was just such a cool and special moment. And I think it is a moment that really endeared a lot of people to the World Baseball Classic. So shout out to Judge for being the captain. Pretty excited to see what the roster looks like. They need more pitching. That was their problem last time. They did not have the pitching staff to get it done. So they're going to need to work on the pitching staff for the 2026 WBC.
All right. So let's give you my draft story real quick. Top 10 biggest boom or bust riskiest picks of the draft. I'm going to give you the top 3. I've read this article. It's a great read on USA Today. But number 3 on the list, Cam Ward, quarterback, Miami. Number 2, Shamar Stewart, defensive end, Texas A&M. And number 1, the surprising draft invite, Jalen Milroe, quarterback, Alabama.
I have no idea what's going to happen on draft night. I'm still trying to figure it all out. That's going to do it for us here on this edition of the show. Jim Rome is next. Producer Evan, thank you for all that you do. Everybody, have a great rest of your Monday. We'll talk to you tomorrow. See ya!
AM 1060 KDUS Tempe Phoenix and KSLX